Maps and Meta-Analysis. This is Folsom.
Facts.
And faces.
Welcome to Folsom Facts and Faces. This week we are interviewing Dianna Laney. It is me, Justin Hurst, and McLean Kelly as your co-hosts, and we'll just jump right into it. Dianna, if you're comfortable, could you introduce yourself, what you're running for, and why you're running for this position?
Absolutely. My name is Dianna Laney. I am a Folsom resident. I'm also a certified financial planner. I have children in the schools here in the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, and I am running for the Folsom Cordova Unified School District Trustee Area 2. So that covers quite a bit of Folsom as well as down into Rancho Cordova. So it is a seat that represents both cities.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Awesome. I can ask the next question here. Was curious, why is a position on the school board the right position for what you want to accomplish? Or I guess put a different way, what could you do in this role that you couldn't do before?
I'm sure. So, this probably leans into the question that I just realized I didn't answer that Justin had said. So I think they're kind of connected. I started with, digging in with the school board when the issue came up about this time last year, as far as where do we put the next high school. And so, started in the community, showing up to meetings. And what I found was a lot of people just kind of were making their statement and yelling, basically, advocating to the board what they felt in 3 minutes, walked away, the board can't respond. And it just didn't feel like any progress was being made. And the thing that I noticed was that there's not much in the way of communication between the communities. And so, I started down the path of, and I didn't realize it, I'm going to be honest, this was not on my bucket list of things like, oh, I want to be an official at some point. I run a company. I'm very happy with what I do. I've been approached in the past to be in politics, and I always like, yeah, thank you. That's flattering, but no. So, what I've realized is that we're just talking past each other. And in the last about 10 months, I've had a number of conversations with not only people in the unions, teachers, community members. I've had conversations with senators and assemblymen and city council people, and just started pitching the question of, like, what if we work together? Like, maybe we don't agree on everything, but what if we got more people in the room and had conversations to move the needle and make progress? And what I realized with that is that, I'm in this position since I didn't come from Folsom. I came from Sacramento. Rancho Cordova feels like, they can relate to my story. I live in Folsom. I'm committed to Folsom. Folsom people, I'm a Folsom person. They can relate to the story. And just how do we pull people together and get past some of the friction points? Because the district serves both of us. And what I found is that's resonating with people. People are starting to talk, and they've never spoken before, really collaborating. And I think we're making progress. And that ability to, be a little more middle of the road, pull people in. I am fairly decent at it. It's what I do professionally. And I think that that's what we need right now. We need someone to pull people in, stakeholders, have conversations. Sometimes they're hard, and move to the next level. What can we do? What can be actionable solutions that we can take care of for our communities?
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I guess a good follow-up to that would be jumping into the next question with a little bit of an angle of if you weren't successful in your race, what would you plan to do? And specifically, how would you plan to still try to work towards these goals that you have?
Well, I will say, if I'm not successful, the first thing I'm going to do is take my kids on a vacation, because I'm not doing a lot of things with them because I'm spending a lot of time campaigning. But whether or not I'm on the board, one of the things I've been talking to people about is, what if we started having quarterly meetings, have some community, it's similar to in Folsom, you have commissions. I sit on a commission. I'm the chair of the library commissioner, or the commission. And we get together monthly and we talk about what's going on with the library, and it's an advisory board. What if we had that for parents? What if we were deliberate and pulled people in and said, hey, what is going on? What's the boots on the ground? What are the parent experiences? What can make it better? And what are we asking for the board and the district to do for us, instead of individually going and just having a statement at the board every once in a while when something's top of mind and we're motivated because out of frustration to go talk about it, and then we never talk about it again, but having some organization. So if I'm on the board, I'd like that to be more formalized and have something similar to, we have union representation. We don't have that for parents. So have that for the community. And if I'm not on the board, to do it informally, just continue to try to have those conversations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm going to kind of flip Justin's question a little bit. What kind of tangible changes can the Folsom Cordova Unified School District residents expect if you do win your race?
I think a couple of things. One, I would like there to be some sort of an audit. We're going to be moving into some budget deficits according to the district, and there may need to be some difficult decisions made. I think that we need to do a good assessment as to where the resources are, how many people do we have working on these different issues, and then also I think some surveying with actual, in the classroom. That's the number one complaint, or I should say the number one complaint that I hear from teachers, is that anything that they're asked to do, no one asked them during the decision-making process, and they feel like they're just constantly reinventing, the classroom experience for the kids. And so I think that there's a frustration there. And then also, where's the money going? Are we spending our resources in, with our value system? Where is that bleed out, and can we be more effective and more efficient? Another thing that I've heard from both sides of the community is that people will ask for something from the district and they don't know what happens to it. It just kind of goes off into the ether. I don't know about you, but with my technology, if I have an issue, I can put in a trouble ticket and I can tell how long that ticket was in and how many people touched it until my problem was solved. And my company, they track that. They want to see what's the efficiencies as well as where do they need more manpower based upon volume and the challenges that we're experiencing. I can see that we could use that at the district in a number of different ways. And so those are a couple of things I think could be tangible. I think the committee thing is tangible. The other thing that I'm very excited about is a 2x2x2. Are you guys familiar with what a 2x2 is when it comes to government?
Not me, Justin. I don't know about you.
I've heard of it before, but at least for our listeners, if you're comfortable just giving like a broad explanation, that'd be great.
100%. So a 2x2, we have 2 city council members who will meet with 2 school board members. And I believe that they do this quarterly. And right now our school district serves 2 different cities. Okay. So you have a 2x2 going to Rancho and a 2x2 going to Folsom, but they don't really interact. And the 2x2, the 2 board members may not be consistent between the 2 cities. What I would very much like to see is whoever the 2 school board members, they're consistent between the 2 cities so that we have people hearing the same thing. Okay, they're in the same meetings because with the Brown Act, school board members can't talk to each other. So now if you've got 2 different school board members, each talking to 2 different cities, guess what? Those 2 school board members cannot come back and talk to anybody else because you've already had your 2. That's where we're stuck. However, if we have consistency with that 2x2 from the school board, and then let's bring both cities, if they're willing to, let's bring them both all into the room. So we have basically a 2x2x2, and they're having conversations about what's going on in each city and maybe having some collaboration. And even if they're not collaborating, they're at least not getting in the way of one another. And so that would be, it's another point of like just communication. For me, it just keeps coming back to how are we communicating within our district.
Thank you. Actually, I have a follow-up based on something that you raised there. When you mentioned surveys in the classroom, it made me think a little bit more about like the teacher perspective and how that may be playing a role in your campaign. Before you or during the process of deciding to run, to what extent did you work with teachers to identify issues, if you had a personal relationship or otherwise? And from that perspective, how do you feel like talking with teachers in the school district has shaped or changed your opinions?
So a couple of things. One is, I don't know if it's a cheat code. So I've been with my husband for 27 years. Both my in-laws are both retired school teachers. And even though I've got a 7 and a 10-year-old, we waited a little while to have kids. I went into the classroom with them. from time to time when I would visit. Also, their experience has been a constant, conversation point at the dinner table type of thing. I also serve as an art docent at my kids' school, so I'm in talking to the teachers, all the time. And in my position, I kind of fill in whenever there's a lack. And so, last year when I was an art docent, one of the kindergarten um, classes didn't have enough parents, and so I didn't have a child in that room, but I still was in that room. So then I got more exposure to parents or parents and teachers that I wasn't directly related to. So, having conversations, obviously not a credentialed teacher, but I got to experience teaching children, art during that time. So I'm crossing guard. I am at the school all the time. I have conversations with the different teachers, as often as I can, just finding out what's their perspective, what's happening with them. And then I do have a number of people who have reached out to me, since announcing my candidacy, who are teachers, and they're having individual conversations kind of through Facebook or on the phone. So I do feel like I've had some pretty good reach out from different teachers who want to share what's going on with them in their classrooms. What are their struggles?
Awesome. Thank you. Shifting gears a little bit, what would you say have been the biggest challenges you faced in your campaign so far?
I think it's both a positive to be no party preference. But the downside of that is also, there's no home team, right? So I'm a new candidate. Even though I have hired professionals to give me some guidance and everything else, it is it's a brave new world. This is not something I'm not the selfie person. I don't show up and prove that I was there. I usually show up and I just get to work, and then get home and people ask me, well, where are your pictures for your candidate, for your candidacy? And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't take any, so sorry. So I think that there's just proving that I showed up has been a little more of a challenge for me. I actually really love talking to people about all the different challenges and trying to come up with how can we make it better. So
Gotcha.
Wonderful. Was curious. So I know that, you spent some time on the Folsom Library Committee. Was really curious how or if you expect your time there to help prepare you for a role like this.
So I'm currently the chair of the Folsom Library Commission, so I'm coming up on the end of my term. I think where the preparation has been is, we have on a monthly basis, we have our meetings, we do follow, all the same protocols as a school board meeting. And so there are, there's some, I would say, baby steps. We're also a library commission, so I'm going to be honest that we don't have very many controversial topics where the public shows up and wants to, vent their frustration. So that will be new for me. I'm sure that will come up, but we do still collaborate and have conversations. We're still bound by the same things. We can't, have three commissioners having a conversation about the library. That's illegal. We're not allowed to do that. So, but I do think that. Just sitting on a commission, understanding a little bit how things work and what you're allowed, what you're really allowed to discuss publicly and where you're not, this is just going to be an expansion of that.
How many, this is not a scripted question, it's kind of a follow-up to that, but to what extent have you physically gone to the Folsom Cordova Unified meetings and felt like it was more accessible to you as a member of the public in this case because you've had that experience versus what the experience might be for someone who, for example, if you're a parent that has a concern about something and you've never been to a meeting, do you think that there would be like a different perspective there?
I do. I think one, I have been in these types of meetings with the commission. The board is much more expanded. One, you've got district staff. We have one secretary in the library director. Every once in a while we get a few other dignitaries, but there's not that much. So this one's definitely a much bigger production. I think because I have an interest and I have been going to the school board meetings for a number of months. I don't think that there's many that I've missed, or I haven't even joined by Zoom when I was sick, that type of thing. I'm getting used to the cadence. I do think for a new somebody who's doesn't even know what the school board is, they don't know that it exists, and then you walk into the room and there's cameras and there's protocol and you have to do it the right way and you have 3 minutes and it's on a buzzer and you can only talk during that time. I think it's stressful. So I do think that it would be great. I know that you didn't ask this question, but I do think that it would be great if there were some sort of video or like how to or something out there that just told people like, hey, did you know that you could be involved and talk at a school board meeting, and here's kind of how you do it. You walk in, the cards are over here, this is what you do, here's how you check if something's on the agenda. If it is, you have to wait for the agenda item, just those types of things, because it did take me a little while to get the cadence down. And I think I think it's intimidating and a little stressful for parents to know where the district is and how to get there, because there's no transit, there's no public transportation that goes to our district, but also to know how they can participate in the process, and when is that appropriate. I think that people don't know that the option is there.
Gotcha. Shifting again to another topic, with regards to your platforms, one thing that your website lists is that you're interested in reducing classroom sizes. As you've kind of mentioned, there's some upcoming fiscal challenges that the district will be facing, especially with both Folsom and Rancho Cordova experiencing growth in terms of city population sizes and therefore new students, new families to serve. How do you imagine that the school board will be able to balance that increasing demand for students and keeping up with the infrastructure on that while trying to make progress on reducing classroom sizes?
So I think we have a couple of different challenges there. And one of them may mean that I would like the district to be more forthcoming with what the numbers are and what ideal capacity is versus when we're actually hitting like where we're going to be over capacity. The district grew by over 700 students this year. We're up over 22,000 students for what I understand is the first time ever. And we're not necessarily prepared for that. And if we're over optimum capacity, at what point do we say, you know what, we're just not able to bring in and have transfers from outside of our district in our schools, because we need to prioritize the kids that are in our district first. And so I think that when we can open up some capacity by not continuously bringing in students, which I know may not be popular, because I know we've got some great athletes that sometimes come in from other cities, but we really do need to prioritize our kids that are here. Okay, so I think that there's some opportunity there. The other thing is that our district needs to come up with a better plan for what types of facilities we're going to have, as well as how to fund them. Okay, so between having this friction between Rancho Cordova and Folsom, we don't operate like a normal school district does when it comes to funding sources. We're all broken up into these SFIDs, and it becomes kind of a battle on when they're going to pay for things. And so there's a little bit of this feeling of, well, I have mine, so I'm not going to help you with yours because you didn't help me with mine when I need it. And we need leadership that is going to push forward and say, hey, we need to start operating like a proper school district. And that also means that we need to architect buildings that are also affordable. The last two schools that were built in south of 50, they are beautiful. They're beautiful. My kids go to one of them. I don't need my kids to go to an Ivy League elementary school. I just don't. They're very, very expensive. I would argue that they're also somewhat unnecessary. At one point, someone said, yes, but they're going to be like much lower in the way of maintenance. I just this week dropping off my daughter, there was a whole group of roofers outside, and I was asking, hey, what's going on over here? And they were there to fix the kindergarten roof because last year it was leaking and the kindergartners had to stay in the library for 2 weeks during one of the storms. This is a brand new school. Okay, so it's not being less expensive to maintain. It's got doors from Europe. Some of them don't close right. So, some of these are issues that I think just at the architectural of what kind of school that we're building, and then is it affordable and durable? We need to go back to the drawing board and talk about that, because I feel like we're a little off track right now.
Yeah, as a follow-up, building off of that, and I think your answer kind of partially addresses this, but being in area 2, you're going to be essentially representing directly the areas of the most growth in both cities. And even though this position on the school board will be voting on things that affect the entire district, how do you think coming from that district and representing those interests primarily will paint and represent your perspective here?
I see everything as a system. It's all a system. And when we have impacts over in, the south side of 50, it's also going to impact the north of 50. And it's also going to impact the things that happen in Rancho Cordova. And when things happen in Rancho Cordova, it also affects up in Folsom. We have to stop treating the districts as if we're all so separate, because even something as little as busing, it affects both cities. And it pits each city against one another instead of solving the problems. And so the way that I see as representing, I would like to put together kind of my own personal cabinet of parents, and I would like that to be throughout the district. I have lots of friends in north of 50. I've started friendships with people in Rancho Cordova, and understanding what is everybody facing, because the district serves all of our students, not one area or another.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Next question that I had for you, I mean, so from your campaign website and, from some of the previous statements that you've made, you're clearly a proud parent. Was curious though, like how have your experiences of your children in the education system here, shaped your priorities and your views for the school board?
I had, obviously any parent that has more than one child is going to know that it's like a roll of the dice when it comes to your kids' personality, what they're going to be like. My son is, he is amazing for a lot of his own ways. He's also, he's motivated when he's motivated, and things come to him a little easily. My daughter tends to struggle a little bit, and we're still trying to figure out, what is, what are the puzzle pieces for her. And so as a parent, you have to balance and figure out, what are your objectives. We joke around in the house that, we're a solid B household. The answer is always B, and I can talk to you about statistics as to why that joke exists if you want. But the answer is always B. And doctors who get B's in medical school are still called doctors. We want to have a balance in our lives. We don't want our kids to be so stressed out that they have to be perfect at school. But I do expect my son to work really hard. My daughter, if she were to get B's, that would be amazing, because she struggles with school. So I think as a parent, I'm looking for my kids to, when they leave high school, to be ready to walk down whatever path is going to work for them. And whether that's going into the workforce or going into the military or starting a business, whatever that is, going to college, like I want them to be prepared to, kind of lift off in their life. And I think that, as a parent, I also want to see those opportunities in our schools as well. And so if you've got a kid that's off the charts academically and they want to be able to explore that, I think we need to have the opportunity for that. If you have a kid that's more physical and sports is their thing, and maybe they can dip into academics, but maybe sports is their thing and academics is not, we should have opportunities for them to do that as well. Let's have more trades. Let's have in the classrooms, let's have more opportunities for kids that they just learn a little bit different. How do we have a system that incorporates the best of what we know out of our educational system that's been around for 200 years, right? Yeah, this is not new. Going to school is not new. Okay, but why don't we take the best things that we can, as well as have an eye on where industry is going? Things like AI is now becoming more and more prevalent. It's also something that's prevalent. It's also going to help with cheating. Let's just be honest. So are we equipping our kids to be good digital citizens going forward, and to still be able to have the underlying skills that they need, where like AI is a tool? And so I think that some of those things, looking at my kids, I'm a soccer coach, looking at the way, the way my different kids process, those have all informed this idea of, school is not for school's sake. It should be there to help prepare our kids for the next stage of their lives.
Thank you. Actually, that's a good segue, I think, into the next question here. I know a little bit about CTE, career technical education programs, on the community college side, since I work with that in my day job. But specifically focusing more maybe on the K-12 end, one of your platforms is also for growing these programs in the school district. And as a part of that, what partnerships do you think would be crucial, both being within the district, without the district, with industry, with other potential entities, for like getting this platform accomplished?
So I'm part of the Folsom Chamber of Commerce, and I have been for a while. And also Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce. I'm not a part of them, but I haven't had a time to go explore that yet. But Rancho Cordova has been very good at bringing business into their area. And we already have a mechanism to work with the chambers of commerce as a first start, and to say, how do we pull in and pull our local businesses on what is it that they need? What are the local jobs? I talk to a lot of parents. One of the big things that they're concerned with is whether or not their kids will be able to stay in the area. Will that be affordable? Why not look first off with what are the businesses that are here and what skills do they need? And let's introduce that to our young students and see, do they already have an interest in that? And can we develop pathways for that? Additionally, there are trades that I think that we can take a look and see very easily. Cosmetology is like huge, there's a huge demand, but there's also a big interest in that type of thing. And so if we take a look and say, HVAC, electrician, like what are some paths that we can already start preparing our students for, give them a taste of it and start getting them in the position that, look, college is not for everybody. I also wasn't able to go to college right away. I had to work my way through college. That was just the path that was available to me. It'd be really nice to be able to come out of high school and you can get something more than a fast food job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, kind of, this is, I guess, very kind of generalized, but just wanted to know if there was anything else, that you would like to let our listeners to know about, you and what you're doing with your campaign, kind of a broad stroke, if there's anything that we missed in our questions.
Oh, well, how much time do you guys have? I don't know if you guys have already gotten, where I'm obviously chatty. I'll just keep going.
Well, we got another half an hour if you want to spend half an hour on it.
We can do it.
Yeah.
I think I've already touched on this. I think the biggest thing that I like to tell people, I have plenty of phrases. Some of them are things like, life puts you where it wants you to be. And even if you don't want to be there, but, I also just don't have an opinion on every single thing. I just don't. There's things that, I haven't had exposure to. I haven't had that life experience, and I'm not going to, put my opinion out there and say, this is the way that you should live your life. I very much believe that you should collaborate with other people and be conscientious of, other experiences, other perspectives, and try to come up with the best solution for the majority of people, but also to mitigate for the minority. We're not necessarily just trying to leave people behind, but there are, school, like anything else, like a company, it is a system. We have to have protocols. We have to have controls in place. I'd love to see more communication, between just different stakeholders. I'm not, I don't have all the best ideas. I need collaborators. Honestly, I'm not an educator. That's not what I went to school for. I'm a wealth manager. I know how to help people adjust their behavior to grow wealth, essentially. But I do think it's more important to get it right than to be right. And so I think that's, I will always do my best to be available to people and to take in, different perspectives and make the best decision that I can. And if we're boxed in because of a rule or a law or something, communicate that. I would love to just see more communication, because I think it helps bring more stakeholders to the table to come up with even better solutions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you again for doing this interview. We're excited to share it shortly, and we appreciate that now people of Folsom will get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Right.
Sorry
Thank
for
you
the
so
extra
much.
chattiness.
You're good. We appreciate it. It makes our job easier.
Okay,
So,
well, perfect.
yeah.
Hopefully that was plenty of
Yeah.
material for you. So, all right. Hey, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for your time.
Right, you too.
Thank you so much
Thank
as
you.
well.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.